Kristen Jacobson.
Hey everyone, I'm Kristen, the anxiety therapist, and today I want to talk about the loneliness epidemic. So this was obvious during the pandemic. A lot of people experienced loneliness, but it's also carried over into this sort of post-pandemic life we're living. And we live in such a fast-paced digital world that it's really easy to get sort of caught up in the hustle and forget what truly matters, which is connecting with others. We're all social beings. Social connection is a basic human need. And even if you consider yourself more introverted or maybe you have some social anxiety, connecting with others and having that support system is so important for mental and emotional health. What I want to specify is I'm not just talking about any connection. I'm talking about the real sit down and talk kind of connection that doesn't involve staring at a screen. Don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of texting. Social media has its place. These methods of communication, whether it's texting or direct messaging or tweeting or Snapchatting, whatever the case may be, they're really great for quick updates or, for sharing inside joke or a funny video that you found. But when it comes to building and maintaining strong relationships, these types of communication often fall short. There's something about hearing someone's voice or seeing their expressions or reading their nonverbal cues that this digital written communication just can't capture. And tone of voice actually plays a crucial role in effective communication. So it allows us to express emotion, convey meaning, establish rapport, and influence others' perceptions. A lot of people who struggle with anxiety have been in a situation where, they've sent a text message and then they're feeling anxious about the response. So either it's taking the person too long to respond, or they responded, but they seem a little off. And so you might think that they're upset with you, or, what did they mean by that comment? And so all of this vocal tone and emotion and those nuances really get lost in translation. So sending a text is super convenient, but we have to keep in mind it's incredibly easy to misinterpret. I was working with a client recently who, she was kind of confused because she was texting with her friends and her boyfriend like all day, every day, but she still felt very isolated and lonely. And so we talked about how the quality of communication is so much more important than the quantity of communication. So you can exchange 100 or more texts with someone throughout the day, but if you're never touching base with either a phone call or a face-to-face interaction, or if you live miles away, FaceTiming or like a Zoom call or something, then you're really missing out on a huge chunk of that connection and what creates those meaningful, deeper relationships, because you really can't have those types of conversations over text. I know sometimes we try to, and that typically does not end up going well. There's also something else that happens when we experience a heartfelt phone call or a coffee catch-up. And that's just being present and truly listening and engaging with that other person in a way that lets them know that they matter and that what they're saying is important. So if you do make that shift to engage in more face-to-face or interaction or phone calls, just really make sure that you are present, that you're not distracted doing other things. And I know this is tough to do. Like, again, I get it. We live in this sort of hustle culture. We're always on the go. But even just carving out, 5 to 10 minutes to really connect with somebody who's important to you can really do wonders. The other piece of loneliness I want to touch on is loneliness that occurs through healing. So when I'm working with clients and they start to heal, they start seeing how toxic some of their relationships are, or how emotionally immature some of their loved ones can be. And so there's a grief and a loneliness in that as well, where as we heal, we kind of develop almost like this sixth sense where we can sense the toxicity in other people. And so with that usually comes the importance of setting boundaries. It's not that we need to cut these people out of our lives. It's just, how do we set appropriate boundaries so that some of what they're struggling with, whether that's negativity or not being able to regulate their emotions, things like that, how do we set boundaries so some of that doesn't continue to infiltrate our well-being? And there's a tremendous amount of loneliness that comes with that, because these people that you've had relationships with for so long, the dynamics of those relationships will shift as you heal. And a lot of times when you start to set those boundaries, you'll be met with a lot of resistance on the other side. So that's another area in which loneliness can show up. And I think it's one that we don't often think about, but there is some loss and loneliness in healing as well. So I hope you found this video helpful. I would love to hear about your own experiences with either loneliness or communication. I know for me personally, I hate talking on the phone. I don't know what it is about it, but I just hate it. However, when I have a meaningful conversation with, one of my family members or one of my friends, I remember how good it makes me feel and how important it is to maintain those connections. So I invite you to kind of challenge yourself, step outside of your comfort zone, and just see how you can connect with others in more meaningful ways. So I hope you all have a great week. I will see you next time.